Thanks for tuning in to the Ohio Afterschool Network podcast, bringing the power of the network right to your ears. OAN is a convener, a connector, a collective voice, and a catalyst for change in the out-of-school time field. The Ohio Afterschool Network leverages our state and national partnerships for you, our supporters and members, and brings ideas, funding, and resources to after-school and summer learning programs in Ohio. OAN is the real deal, and that's the power of the network. To find out more, please visit oanohio.org. Hey everybody, it's Nichelle from the Ohio Afterschool Network. Thanks for listening to the podcast today. When I was a kid in middle school, I decided one Christmas I wanted to make some money so that way I could buy gifts for my friends and my family. My friend Peggy and I decided that since we were both kind of artsy, that we could start a business painting large tempera paint pictures of Christmas trees and Santa Claus and reindeers on storefront windows of businesses in our little hometown of Lancaster. Now, this was in the day before they had those giant colored window clings, so this was the olden days. So Peggy and I decided that we were going to make this 3-ring binder book full of different designs and options that people could choose from. So we made this and packaged it up and jumped on our bikes and rode from one store to another. And we would go into stores and ask to speak to the manager, and we'd pitch him our business. And we got quite a lot of business, at least enough to keep us busy most of the winter, and then put a little bit of cash in our pockets for gifts. It was super fun to do. It was a memory that has stuck with me for so many years. Back then, I just wanted the money, but what I got also was confidence and ownership and the ability to communicate and to work with a partner and to think through a project and, of course, the aforementioned money. I thought I was just finding a way to make that money, but now the whole idea has a name, and that name is entrepreneurship. So today on the podcast, we're going to talk about entrepreneurship because I really want to know what in the world does pitching or developing a business idea have to do with after-school programs? So joining us today on the podcast is Liz Nusken. Liz has been working for OAN, developing our entrepreneurial project over the past year or so, and she has some insight to give us, some stories to tell us, and a big project to talk about that's on the horizon for OAN and after-school programs in Ohio. Liz will also be at the upcoming OAN statewide conference for after-school and summer learning professionals called Best Foot Forward, or BFF 2020. BFF 2020 will be held in beautiful Dublin, Ohio, on Thursday, February 20th and Friday, February 21st at the OCLC Conference Center. Registration is now open, and if you want more info about the conference, be sure to follow OAN on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Ohio Afterschool, or subscribe to our newsletter at oanohio.org. So let's go ahead and get started. Liz Nusken, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Nichelle. I'm glad to be here.
Thank you so much for your time today. I'm really happy to be talking with you and excited about all the work that you've been doing around the state with entrepreneurship. So let's go ahead and dive in. Help me out, Liz. Why should after-school and summer learning programs teach entrepreneurship? Why would this appeal to people who work with youth and after-school programs or scouts or like as a homeschool group project? What is the connection here?
It is such a great fit with out-of-school time programs. It's fun, it's easy to do, and it's great for programs and it's great for kids. So in terms of helping students, it's a great way for them to learn about and explore and develop their passions. It builds 21st and even 22nd century skills like communication and teamwork and problem solving. It helps them think about themselves, their families, and their communities in new ways and sees all the entrepreneurs all around them, which we're learning students don't really understand entrepreneurship and realize that maybe their parents or their friends or their neighbors are entrepreneurs. It's a great way for students who don't often experience success in the classroom to shine. It exposes youth to future career options. It develops creativity and public speaking skills. It's a great fit with the Ohio Department of Education's strategic learning plan, and it fits really well with one of the 4 learning domains. And it's a great way for communities to get involved in after-school and summer programs as guest speakers, mentors, pitch contests, judges, and more. So we're always looking for ways to get those community leaders and stakeholders into our programs, and this is a perfect way to do it.
Wow. Yeah, it sounds like it's a really natural fit, and that there's a lot of, there's a really low barrier to entry into this type of education. Isn't that right?
It is. So we've been partnering with the Young Entrepreneur Institute in Cleveland, which is really one of the national and maybe even world leaders in entrepreneur education ecosystem building. So they've been doing entrepreneurship education for a long time and have done a really great job of creating tools that are really kind of essentially off the shelf and easy for programs to deliver. And with their Young Entrepreneur Pitch Toolkit, which is free, downloadable off of their website, it is 5 lessons, with the 5th one being a live pitch contest that can be done in as few as 3 to 5 45 one-hour sessions for students grades K to 12. So there are no barriers around having to buy a curriculum or finding trying to translate entrepreneurship for educators and others who work in after-school and summer programs.
Awesome. Yeah, that's really great to know. So, we're thinking about this from the adult lens. So let's switch gears for a second and talk about what kids think. So I know last year in the summer, OAN had a high school intern, Abigail Fisher, and she conducted some high school focus groups and then helped OAN develop a report. So what did Abigail learn, or what did you learn from the high school focus groups that we did, and how do youth really feel about entrepreneurship?
So it was great to have Abigail, who had just graduated from high school, conduct the focus groups, because she was a near peer to the high school students that we talked to, and we feel like they really did open up to her. And what we learned is that there was a lot of misconceptions around entrepreneurship, and the students in our focus groups we held around the state really felt like you had to be Oprah Winfrey or Steve Jobs or Elon Musk or some rich, famous, mature person to actually be an entrepreneur. And they didn't realize that anybody can be an entrepreneur. And some of the students with the focus questioning that Abigail did came to realize that they were actually entrepreneurs with their lawn business, or the yarn bracelets, the braided bracelets that they were selling, or the snacks that they were selling to their friends after school. So that was really interesting to find out that they had those misconceptions. We found that they were super interested in entrepreneurship, which was validated by a recent report on a research study done by the Girl Scouts that found that a majority of girls are interested in entrepreneurship, and that was echoed in our conversations with boys and girls around the state.
Wow. And
they felt like after-school programs were a really great time and setting in which to explore entrepreneurship, that they had more relaxed time, more flexibility, there were more adults available to them. So it's just a great fit. And I'll just mention that we did pilot groups with summer programs this summer, and the students there really embraced the entrepreneurship education, so much so that one of the high school drop-in programs found that they had increased program attendance because there was so much interest. Another program that we worked with was a week-long entrepreneurship camp, and they had a waiting list. There were so many students who wanted to participate. So we know that this is of interest to students.
Yeah, it sounds like it's really resonating with them, and getting high school, middle school kids, they vote with their feet, right? So if you know that attendance is going up, you know that what's going on in the program has to be really outstanding.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
For high school students.
So,
definitely.
Liz, you just quickly mentioned the pilot groups that you did over the summer, but I'm wondering if you could give a few more highlights about what you've been doing with OAN around the state over the past few months on this entrepreneurship project to help support after school and summer learning programs.
Right. So we did those pilots over the summer. We did the focus groups with teams we already talked about. We've had so many in-person trainings and webinars with folks from Ohio to talk with them about including entrepreneurship education in their programs. And there's really just a lot of interest because I think this is a trending topic, not just in education or after school, but this is really an issue for our communities, for our state, for
legislators
economic
too.
vibrancy.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
Like I know that
yes,
Lieutenant Governor John Husted is a huge advocate for entrepreneur programs in our state and increasing the number of entrepreneurs. So I think we'll probably see some more come out of the governor's office on this too.
Definitely. And we had a town hall in Northeast Ohio with community and business leaders around the topic of entrepreneur education in out-of-school time programs. And we had 50 folks from around the region who were very interested in this topic and shared their perspectives as well as ways that they wanted to get involved to help advance the work. And Senator Matt Dolan, who is chair of the Ohio Senate Finance Committee, was one of our participants and speakers that we had on a panel conversation. So we know that there is a lot of interest throughout both the business and the elected officials community.
Right. Yeah.
So,
when I was when we were down in Southeast Ohio and we were doing the Kids on Campus pitch contest challenge judging, I know that Representative Jay Edwards was one of our volunteer judges for the pitch challenge, and he really liked it, and it was fun to see a legislator get involved with that age group of kids.
Definitely. And then back to some of our accomplishments. One of the things that's been really interesting, and there's been a lot of interest in, is an Ohio Means Jobs Readiness Field pilot. So the Ohio Afterschool Network and our partner, the Young Entrepreneur Institute, have been working with the Ohio Department of Education to develop a Ohio Means Jobs Readiness Seal using our entrepreneurship tools. So the Readiness Seal is part of an alternate pathway to graduation for students. And the seal is a way for students to demonstrate that they have skills that will help them to be successful in the workplace. So we've developed a rubric that has 5 sessions and then a separate rubric that has 12 sessions that after-school programs and summer programs can use for students to work toward and achieve their Ohio Means Jobs Readiness Seal. So right now we have 5 programs who are partnering with us to pilot that this school year, and I anticipate we're going to have many more programs that are going to want to do this during the summer and in the fall, because that alternate pathway to graduation is really something of great interest to school districts, but it's also an area where they've been having maybe some challenges figuring out that pathway, but because we've been working with the Ohio Department of Education to create that pathway, we know that this works, it's valid, and schools can use it to help high school students achieve that seal.
That is awesome. That is completely amazing. I'm going to be really excited to see how this plays out and how it continues to gain momentum across the state, because I know that high school